I managed to fix it. Thanks, Kirsten.
Right, Dave. All right. So just as we start, Outdoors Queensland respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of the lands where we gather across the state, and we pay respect to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge the important roles that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples play in relation to the land, sky and waterways that have been used for outdoor activities for countless generations. I'm here in Brisbane, or Meanjin, on Yagara country, which is a place of the Jagera and Turrbal peoples. Feel free to drop in the chat the place and the country you're joining from today if you'd like to. Also, just as a mark of cultural sensitivity, I just want to put it out there that there is an image of someone today in today's presentation, someone who's passed away. So I just want to apologise up front if that causes any distress, but I just wanted to flag that as well. And I also like to acknowledge the funding provided by the Queensland Government that supports Outdoors Queensland, supports outdoor activities in general across the state. And some of that funding allows Outdoors Queensland to do our work, and also acknowledge the work that government departments and ministers do regarding outdoor activities, including sport and recreation, who are within the Department of Tourism, Innovation and Sport. And we do have, hopefully Joe from Sport and Rec will be joining us today as well to speak about another funding opportunity. Joe's having some IT issues, so we'll see how we go, but hopefully she'll be able to join us. Jeff, you can't hear us. Can other people hear? Yeah, don't know, Jeff. There's no point telling him if he. Yeah. All right, so welcome to another session of Coffee and Conversation. I'll just try to do it. And as you might have guessed, today, normally Mark Squires is my co-host. I'm Dom Courtney. I should have introduced myself. I'm the Executive Officer of Outdoors Queensland. Mark Squires, our Operations Manager, is my normal co-host. Tends to do all the back-end stuff that makes it seamless. So I'm flying solo today because Mark's actually at a great Getaways paddling activity today as we speak. He's out paddling with a group of people. So I'm flying solo today, so you might have to bear with me a little bit as I don't have Mark to make me look good today. So it's always a worry when you don't have your support there. But I'd like to welcome everyone. As I said before, the recordings are publicly available of these sessions on our website and on YouTube for people who might want to watch them later. Today's our lucky 13th scheduled episode of Coffee and Conversation for 2022. And welcome, whether it's your first time with us or whether you haven't missed one since the start of these in 2020. And feel free, as I said before, to ask questions, make comments as we go along. A bit of an agenda for today, a lot about opportunities, a little bit about COVID-19, but not so much today on that one. So yeah, there's a bit going on in that space in the COVID-19, not as much, but a lot about opportunities and ways to be involved. If you've got anything else you think we should add into the agenda, please let me know. Yeah. And as I said before, I just wanted to start. I just want to acknowledge the passing of Oliver Carrick, who was taking part in an abseiling training assessment with Blue Mountains TAFE on the 7th of October. So he was known as Ollie to his friends and family and was an emerging outdoor leader from Queensland. And our thoughts are with his friends and family and with all the people involved in that tragic incident. I don't know details of it, and I'm not in a position to make any comments about what happened, but I just wanted to acknowledge it in this meeting as we got started. If there are findings from the incident, we'll communicate that when we can to the outdoor sectors. So I just wanted to flag that up front. And there is some information there on our website. It's just an article from it's a link to a news article about it, and I'll pop that link in the chat as we go along, and I'll pop a few links in here as we go through. On a much brighter note, the Outdoors Queensland Awards the presentation was last Friday, last Friday evening. A big thank you to everyone who produced the event, and a big thank you to the sponsors. There's a list of the sponsors there on the screen: the Queensland Government, Brisbane City Council, Active Queenslanders Industry Alliance, and K2 Basecamp. And a big thank you to everyone who joined us, and congratulations to all the nominees, the finalists, and the winners of the awards. I'll put the winners up here on the next slide, but it really, the evening is about more than the winners. I really want to say that. It's the finalists are also available on our webpage. And there's a couple of people here. Andrew was a finalist in the session as well. And congratulations, mate. I really thought it was a great evening. I hope you did too. And Tribal Link obviously took out one of the awards, who Andrew's involved with QTIC. So congratulations to Tribal Link as well. And we had Bo Miles as a guest speaker, and he spoke about all the challenges involved in outdoor activities and encouraging others to tell their stories about getting outdoors. And the recording, I think it's already available on our website. If it's not, it will be available soon. So yeah, and nice to see you had fun, mate. I will just share the link to the awards too. So if anyone wants to check it out, the link will be in the chat there. All right. I might just skip past this one, a bit about sport and rec. We'll come back to that when Joe joins us. So I might, this means I've got to flip through about 10 slides, but that's all right. It's nothing if not able to adapt. So I just wanted to flag Carers Queensland's Inclusive Sport and Recreation Communities project, and we've got David and Kirsten with us today. I don't want to steal too much of your thunder. I've put the slide on there from what you've sent us, but I know it's all about increasing representation and participation of people with disability in sport and recreation on and off the playing field. But I'd like to hand over to one or both of you to have a little chat about what it's about and what you're looking for from the outdoor sector.
Thanks, Dom. I am going to let Kirsten go first, but I did want to thank Dom. We had the opportunity to reconnect after a previous life when I used to know Dom and work with Dom. But great to see the coffee and conversations are still growing. I want to commend everyone. This is such a great opportunity for everyone to stay connected and share this information, so we're all aware of what each other's doing. I'll hand over to my colleague Kirsten, who's from our Rockhampton office, to tell you a bit more about the Beyond the Sidelines reference group.
Thanks, Dave. So I am a member of our community and mainstream team at Carrick, Queensland, and we've got a number of projects that aim to drive natural inclusion in a variety of arenas. So I'm on a couple of them, including one that focuses on councils, and also this one, which aims to drive natural inclusion in the sport and recreation field. So there's myself and a couple of other team members. There's Steve Marshall and Rachel Wilkinson, and they're based down in Brisbane and Gold Coast. And Dave is our team leader for the project. So basically, for this project, we want to make a positive change for sport and recreation, but we do want to hear directly from the people this affects. So people with disability who have got lived experience in any capacity in sport and recreation. So it can be as a volunteer, as a player, as a manager, anything. And we're looking for one representative from each of our service areas, except for Brisbane, where we're looking for 2 because it's such a big area. And yeah, we're wanting them to join our reference group to kind of help guide our project and look at where we are best placed to put our resources, what we can focus on. We've got a few different things that we can assist clubs with. So we can do disability awareness training, we can support them doing access and inclusion plans, things like that. But it's not worth us doing that if it's not going to make a difference. So we want to hear directly from people themselves, and we think that this reference group is going to be a really good way of doing it. So we've opened the applications up now. All the information's on our website, and I'll put a few links in the chat in a moment. There's application instructions, and then there's an expression of interest form which people can fill out. And the date that is going to close is 10 a.m. on Monday the 21st of November. So there's only a few weeks to get applications in now. We're going to hopefully choose the reference group panel and then announce it for International Day of Disability in December. So that's our plan. Hopefully we get a good number of applicants, and we're also looking into how we can keep applicants engaged if they don't make it onto the reference panel, because obviously there's only 9 positions on there, but we do want to hear from everyone in some capacity. So we are looking at ways in which we can keep everyone involved along this process as well. So yeah, we're really excited about it. I guess I will open it up to any questions.
Any questions from the group for Kirsten?
Just quick question for myself. I heard of this before reference group being formed a few months ago. I'm not sure what happened to that. So I did filling out the form again now. So yeah, it's been delayed or something, hasn't it?
Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button. Yeah, we have been working on this for some time because we are partnering the community for the NDIS. It has to go through a lot of different stages to get everything approved. So there has been a little bit of a delay, and we wanted to make sure that it was right, that all the information was accessible as well. That was a big thing because we don't want to exclude anyone, especially in this arena. So yeah, there has been a little bit of a delay in getting this out, but yeah, we're really keen for it to go full steam ahead now. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. I did filling out now, and it did let you know that actually we selected Brisbane, but we also deliver in Moreton Bay in the Redlands.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So
if you put that extra bit of information in you know, the free text box, or just pop us an email, I'll put our email in the chat as well. Any extra information you can send through, and that'll help us select applicants as well. That'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. No, thank you.
Thanks, Kirsten. Has anyone else got any questions for Kirsten or Dave? Lovely. Thank you. And Kirsten's just popped the email in there in the chat. And thanks for the work that you do as well in relation to making physical activity more accessible and more inclusive. It's great to see. So I'm always happy to support, and if we can help in any way, just let us know. I'm more than happy to help in that space. We're really, you know, part of our mission is about the outdoors being everyone across the community being able to make connections with outdoors through outdoor activities. So yeah, really happy to be involved. So
that's great. And one thing that people can do if they are interested, if they've got networks that they can pass information on to, if they just let us know, and we can send you guys the flyer, which has got all the information and the QR code on there for people to do the application. So yeah, just let us know and we'll send the information out.
Terrific. Hopefully you'll be inundated with awesome candidates for the reference group, and it'll be a really hard decision to try to whittle it down. But yeah, well done on getting this happening.
Yeah, thanks, Dom. I think we're really keen to see a number of applicants from the recreation industry. That's why we've reached out to Outhaus Queensland, because we know we're going to get a lot of applications from people in the sports space, but we want a real balance of sport and recreation on this. And I saw yesterday that Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk had announced 2023 as Year of Inclusive Tourism. So what a great time even for us to have that recognised with some of the key players in the outdoors rec space in that tourism space as well. So yeah, a good challenge for this group if you know those champions, and Matthew, sounds like you're one of those champions. If you know a champion who's out there, please encourage them to apply.
Yeah, will do. Thanks, Dave. And thanks very much, Kirsten. Terrific. I'll just rewind quickly, so I hope I don't make anyone seasick as we just rewind back a little way. there we are. There's a few sport and recreation funding opportunities at the moment. The disaster recovery program is still open. It's about supporting non-profit sport and rec organisations with funding to re-establish facilities and activities after extreme natural events, including floods, fire, cyclones and severe storms. That one's still open. We've discussed it previously, but you need to check the website for eligibility of that one. I'll just pop some links in the chat as well to these programs as we go along. The second one there's the Emerging Athletes Pathways as well. It's also under the Activate Queensland strategy. It's a program about, it's very relevant to outdoor sports. It's got funding for young athletes to compete in specific events. So it's worth having a look at on that one. But the other one that's just coming up, it's just opened last week, is the Active Industry Project Fund, and round 2 opened last week. And we've got Joe O'Neill, who's the Manager of Partnerships, Development and Management at Sport and Recreation. And Joe's going to give us some additional details on this round 2 of the Active Industry Project Fund. So Joe, if you're right to go, I'm happy to, I've got your slides here, so I can pop them up as we go along. But you're on mute.
Sorry, you're talking to me?
No, I was talking to Joe, who's with us, Matthew, but she's, let's see. Joe's just joined on the phone. I'll just see if. Have you got us, Joe? No.
Sorry, it's meant to be end of October. I think they're kind of backlogged with something in the department. So they haven't announced it yet, to be honest. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Joe, have you got us now?
No.
No. I'm sorry.
Dom, can you hear me now?
Yes.
You got me?
Yep, we've got you. And I've got your screens
I'm
up.
so sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. I'm having difficulty due to some NBN issues, and I'm trying to join via my phone into the Zoom chat. So sorry, all sorts of problems this morning. Dom, thanks very much for allowing me to join your group this morning to talk about the Active Industry Project Fund. As you mentioned earlier, it is one of the programs under Activate Queensland. This is round 2 of this particular funding program. Round 1 focused on participation offerings and affiliate services. And this one is focusing on how we can address some issues regarding workforce capability, including volunteers in that space. And what we found out through COVID in particular was that we lost a lot of volunteers and, of course, workforce through the forced break with COVID. And so we're trying to develop efficiencies and solutions for our workforce and volunteers so that we can try to attract them back in the first place. But also when they're there, how can we just make things run much more smoothly, effectively? How can we reduce the burden, you know, on our workforce when they are there giving, you know, particularly our volunteers when they are giving up that time? How can we just make sure everything runs more effectively and smoothly? And, you know, what systems could we consider to improve to ensure that is, you know, a much more positive experience for all involved? I think you can go to the next one. Thanks, Dom, if you don't mind. Okay, so the eligibility, so we're really pleased that we have state active recreation organisations as an eligible applicant for this particular program. So I'm hoping that some of your members, Dom, are interested and eligible for this particular program. Some of the other aspects that would be on page 4 of the guidelines to determine eligibility are that you have that an organisation has a registered ABN, that they're a not-for-profit organisation in Queensland, and that they're incorporated under a relevant act, and those acts are detailed on page 4 of the guidelines. So also, apart from you, I'm sure that you can see on your screen the eligible applicants. We are also including sector support organisations for this particular program, and they are organisations like Active Queensland Industry Alliance, Volunteering Queensland, Parks and Leisure Australia, and the Australian Council for Health, Physical Education and Recreation. They're not the only ones, so have a look at the guidelines on page 5 to see what other sector support orgs are there. It's just that this particular program has a real focus on collaboration. We're trying to, I guess, amplify the outcomes that we can achieve for the funding that's available. And we're hopeful that, you know, through collaboration, we can achieve a lot more for the industry than one organisation, I guess, solely focusing on their specific needs. We're hoping that by partnering with other organisations, we can have a much greater impact across the industry. So just to explain this a little bit further, there's the eligible applicants and then there's also the eligible industry partners. So you can actually partner up with another eligible state active rec org, or I'm sure you've got a list on your screen of the other eligible partners that are out there, including obviously industry peak bodies, state level sport organisations and local councils. If you, you know, have a particular issue in a certain council area across Queensland that you're very keen to address, the councils, you know, have been informed of this program, and I'm sure they'd be very interested in hearing what solutions you may have for potential issues that you're facing to do with workforce and or volunteers. I think we can go to the next slide, Dom. So as far as the funding that's available, if you're just going it alone with your application, there would be up to $20,000 available. However, in the interest of encouraging collaboration, the more eligible partners that you collaborate with, the more funding that's potentially available. So if you are the eligible org and you are partnering with one other, you can you have the potential to receive up to $50,000. However, if you partner with 2 more organisations, so there's 3 involved in the project, there's up to $100,000 available. This particular program, you don't need to have any financial contribution yourself. We have total funding in this program of around $950,000, just to let you know what's available in the bucket. Dom, if you don't mind going to the next slide. So the program has opened last week, and we have until the 23rd of November to submit applications. So Dom, if you don't mind sharing our details after the meeting or pop them into the chat, we'd be more than happy to answer any questions from your members to try to assist develop up a potential project, or if they have any questions about whether their project meets what we're trying to achieve with this particular funding program, more than happy to answer those questions.
Awesome. Thanks.
And,
so you've been the Sport Rec Partnerships email address?
That's fine. Yeah, happy for that one. You can pop my details into. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no problem at all. Okay, so
you do have one more slide.
Yes, I do. Yes. Okay, so these were just examples of some, we're just trying to put out some ideas of what potential projects, you know, there could be. So, yeah, I guess we just need to sort of link back to how we can improve workforce effectiveness, efficiencies, how we can reduce that burden on our volunteers, how we can recruit and how we can recruit back those volunteers to the industry after COVID. We're just, looking for efficiencies. So there were just some of the examples. You know, digital improvements is also, you know, a hot topic and something that would be, I guess, that we're very interested with this particular funding program. But we have had, you know, various questions coming forward about what type of projects would be eligible. So again, please just reach out if you have a project in mind or a solution that you've been trying to solve. We'd love to talk about your potential projects with you and see if we can, you know, make that fit this particular program, I guess. Yeah, thanks, Dom. Thanks very much for the opportunity to speak, and I'm sorry for the technical glitches.
Joe, you did beautifully. Thank you very much for joining us. I've just popped your email address in the chat there.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
hopefully you'll get inundated with awesome requests from people who have great projects that you'll want to say yes to all of them and help them with that process. So yeah, I've just popped that in the chat.
Thanks very much, Dom. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Joe. Good on you.
Just quickly let you know, Joe, this is Matthew from National Readiness. I will contact you in the email.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good
Awesome.
on you, Joe. See ya.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye. All right. Oh, look at that. There's a slide we've seen earlier. Yeah, I would encourage you to contact Joe if you've got any questions about that program. It's a good opportunity, particularly the collaboration. A few more, just some information. There's quite a lot of consultation opportunities out there at the minute, but this one's actually about preparation for summer. The Bureau of Meteorology, they've issued their long-range forecast for Queensland, well, for summer, I suppose. It is predictions about above median rainfall for most of Eastern Australia, including Queensland. So it's worth having a look at that. The other one is the little diagram there, the new Australian fire danger rating system, which is about improving and simplifying the reporting of danger. And they say it'll make it easier for us to stay safe. So, but one important thing is for operators, with changes to that system, you actually might need to update your safety management system if your safety management system has been mapped to the previous fire danger rating system. So it'd be worth having a look at that when you're doing a review of that. And I'll pop a link to that in the chat as well. And then the third one there is just some research that was in the Journal of Outdoor and Environmental Education recently about heat and sun-related medical concerns in Australian-led outdoor activities. So it's really actually quite an interesting article. It's a study that was looking at the number, nature, and contributory factors of heat and sun-related illness in activities, and it's about how to prevent heat and sun-related illness in those activities. So it's a good article and it's worth a look. So I'll just share the link to that as well, and it's actually freely available on this website through the journal. So if anyone has any questions too, just sing out. Yeah. This next one, it sort of goes with the previous one. Outward Bound Australia, they're leading the establishment of the National Centre for Outdoor Risk and Readiness, or NATCOR for short. It's about addressing the Australia-wide need for the outdoor education and recreation industries to understand, adapt and upskill to operate safely in our bush environments, particularly in the context of increasing risks associated with climate change. So they're running an industry webinar on Monday, the 21st of November. And it's at 2:30 Queensland time. I think on the slide, if you've got your microscope, you might be able to see it says 3:30, but that's their daylight saving time. So it's a co-design process around setting up this National Centre for Outdoor Risk and Readiness. So they're trying to ensure that the activities and priorities of the centre actually meet the needs of the outdoors sectors. So there's more info on their website, but that webinar, I'm certainly going to attend it. I think it's going to be worthwhile to understand what could come out of that centre. So I'll just pop a link to their website there in the chat as well. And I think you can get to that webinar through that one. So, all right. The next one, Dave Maskell, I know you've got us on mute, mate, but I'm not sure if you wanted to speak about this. Oh, there he is. Hello, mate. So next Monday, the 7th of November, inside the Outhaus is going to be focused on the, I'm going to always get this right, Association for Experiential Education International Conference.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. David Maskell here from inside the Outhaus. Pete sends his apologies for not being here this afternoon. Or this morning. Yeah, we're going to do a quick preview, sneak peek into the biggest experiential education conference on the planet, arguably, but they're currently looking at over 800 delegates coming to you from Black Mountain, North Carolina. So that doesn't help most of us who are here in Southeast Queensland, but they're doing for the third time a virtual component in a hybrid format within the conference itself. So there'll be 3 concurrent sessions or 3 sessions each day between sort of midnight our time and 5 a.m. That'll be live streamed via Zoom and will be concurrently held within a live space. So there'll be live delegates or attendees at the conference in the presentation room, interaction via Zoom with the presenters, and this will include not just workshops but also keynote presentations. Why is it valuable to an audience in Southeast Queensland? It's the biggest format of or gathering of experiential educators on the planet, arguably. There's currently 117 virtual attendees from America and across the planet. England, Europe, Southeast Asia, lots of Indian delegates are attending. And I'm actually a key component of that, because what we're doing as a forum or as a way to actually time shift the conference to a more friendly time is we'll be recording all the Zoom sessions, and at about 9 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time, or probably Brisbane time most likely, we'll be replaying those in a Getaways space. So this is a virtual 8-bit environment where you log in, it's all free, you become a little avatar, you wander around the virtual conference environment. But in the international section, there will be the 3 concurrent sessions from that day scheduled to be shown on Zoom. So you'll be able to interact with people virtually. It will be sort of late afternoon, early evening, Black Mountain, North America time. But potentially we're going to time shift this conference to a Southeast Asian time zone. So it's pretty exciting. It means a lot of technical stuff for me, sitting around next weekend doing that, sort of from Friday through to Sunday here. And on Monday this week, inside the Outhaus, we'll basically get together and we're going to talk about it. We'll demonstrate the Getaways space, what it's going to look like. The cost of the conference, it's about $300 to $350, depending on the exchange rate currently. If you're not an AEE member, it's $75 US to become a member, which reduces the cost by another $100 or so. It's really good value. I've been in the conference for the last 2 years when they've been completely virtual. You connect with all the people that you've read books of in the past or learned about theories from. And it's sort of a bit mind-blowing to sort of meet some of the people that you hold in high regard in regards to risk management or adventure programming, or people like Michelle Cummings and various other industry big wheels, I guess, effectively come into these discussions, and hopefully we'll be presenting both in the virtual space, if not in place. So on Monday, 4:13 at Inside the Outhaus, I'll put all the links into the chat. Jump in if you want to hear it, and we're going to have all that video up on YouTube pretty quickly this week so that people can come back and watch as well.
Terrific. Thanks, Doug, and thanks for joining us to tell us about it. It's great. I won't be joining on Monday only because I'm going to be on leave next week, but yeah, I hope it all goes well, mate. Terrific. A couple of other opportunities. The Great Getaways Queensland. Mark's actually, as I said, Mark's actually had a paddling day today with a group of participants, and I hope it'll be a successful, enjoyable session. They've got good weather today, which is awesome. But we've got some planned weekend getaways coming up at Currimundi at Queensland Recreation Centre at Currimundi in February next year, and then Seaforth Pines up near Mackay in March next year. And there's a few other dates listed on the website as well. So that one's, we've actually got funding through Sport and Recreation and the Active Kit program with Health and Wellbeing Queensland as well involved in that, and Australian Camps Association. So it's a good program that we've been doing a lot of work on that. And there's a new website that we've launched in the last few weeks. I've just shared the link to that. If you know of anyone who might enjoy these activities, they're aimed at older Queenslanders, please let them know about it. Feel free to share that link to the website or our contact details. And if you're interested in hosting activity days or weekends or want to get involved in otherwise, please reach out, let us know. yeah, we're always keen to discuss opportunities there. And a second program that we've been working on for a while is Outdoors for Life. And it's, again, we got some funding from Sport and Rec. It was actually through round one of the Active Industry Project Fund that Joe spoke to us about. Right, round one last year, we got some funding to enable us to do this program. And Sarah Hartley got the ball rolling with this, but she actually finished up with this last week. So I just want to say thanks to Sarah for all her work. But this project's still going. It's a capacity development program. It's about enhancing the ability of organisations, so it could be clubs or businesses, to offer more diverse participation opportunities, particularly for children, youth and families. So this program's about enhancing the ability of those organisations to do that sort of work. We've already got some organisations who are signed up to participate, but we are looking for more organisations. So if you'd like to be involved, I'll just pop the website in the chat as well, and I'll also pop Fiona's email address, who's now looking after the project for us. I'll pop her email address in the chat as well. If anyone wants to, you can contact Fiona as well, and she'll be happy to have a chat about any of the details of it. And hopefully we can involve as many organisations as possible in this. It's just a trial phase at the moment, but we're looking to roll it out further next year. But yeah, we'd love to have more organisations involved. Any questions, queries, please sing out. I do sometimes just keep rolling along, so let me know. There's a few other opportunities here. This one's the Outdoor Council of Australia. There's information of this on our website, but there's a survey out at the minute about what community qualifications are considered useful by organisations in the outdoor sector. So they're specifically talking about non-AQF, Australian Qualifications Framework qualifications. I'll just pop this link in here as well. And yeah, if you work for an organisation, they would really like responses from the organisation as a whole. But if you've got multiple sites, you can also do multiple sites responses there. So it's all about what provides pathways into working in the outdoor sector as volunteers or paid workforce. And it's a pretty short survey, so I think it's worthwhile. That's come out of the ACA National Summit last year, where one of the things we talked about was the importance of qualifications. So yeah, just pop that one in the chat. The next one here is about, it's a strange one, this one, but it's relevant to outdoor operators in relation to passenger transport and four-wheel drive tourism. Transport and Main Roads have put out this discussion paper, which is proposing legislation changes, and they've called their discussion paper "Legislation Changes to Support Creating Better Connections for Queenslanders." And there's some sections about passenger transport laws, safety laws, and a specific one about changes to equipment requirements for four-wheel drive tourism operators. So they are looking for feedback on their discussion paper. I'll just pop the link to that in the chat as well. But it's an interesting one because there's some stuff in there where the legislation hasn't been updated for many years, and some of the requirements that particularly four-wheel drive tourism operators have to have by law, some of the stuff is actually outdated, and so some of the stuff they're proposing to change I think will be really good. So it's probably an interesting thing for people to understand. Yeah, Matthew?
Did that also include beach one? Because I know this sounds a little bit controversial about beach with like wildlife on there, you know.
The beach driving. Yeah. It's more to do with the equipment that every single commercial four-wheel drive tourism operator have to carry, and it's got a list of things in the discussion paper. Like one thing that you've got to have is I'll get it wrong, mate. It's like a drive shaft guard or a tail shaft guard, and it actually says modern vehicles actually don't need that, but by law, the operators have to have it. So they've also got to have a certain, they're classified as a type of operator, and it depends on the vehicle. It's all quite complicated, and I think they're trying to simplify it a bit. So it would be things like tourism operators who drive up the beach. And there's also, it's not so much getting into the code of conduct on how they behave, it's more about what they have to have and to operate anywhere on any road in Queensland, which I think the beaches are classified as roads when they're accessible, so within national parks anyway. So yeah, it is the discussion paper they've released. There's a very technical one that's very complicated, and then they've released a plain English version, which is slightly less complicated. I would recommend reading the plain English one if you're going to take it on. So
just maybe thinking about it, because there's a lot of the operators on Carrick. Because when I was there about a year and a half ago, it's just too many. I thought about environmental footprint because it's changing the way how like the tide, doesn't it? Because the turtle, dingoes, the migratory shorebirds, and you know. So yeah, and you're right. It's probably some of the bit chunky operators that don't really, you know, abide in the protocols.
I think the code of practice stuff comes into national parks with issuing some of the permits to operate to some of those operators. This one is all about the main roads rules and the legislation involved in that. But yeah, you're right. There are issues in relation to environmental footprint, and it's of the commercial operators, but also of the general visitors to Carrick, particularly as such a sensitive World Heritage area. And yeah, I've been up there in my four-wheel drive too, and everyone's contributing to it, but I guess it's a matter of mitigating any impact as much as possible. So, and being responsible. So yeah, it's a delicate balance spot, that one, and I know that parks are certainly really focused on it and trying to make sure there's not damage done by that sort of activity. So yeah.
It's also this consultation maybe should have to think about what's linked to other regulations as well, because there could be causing chain reaction, change in legalization. It's like, for example, e-scooters maybe impact pedestrian and bikes, and using the bike lane and path and all on the road. So if you change something in it for e-scooter, it means it's impact on something else. It's like speed, distance and gaps and stuff, you know.
Yeah, and there's unintended consequences of all sorts of changes like that. Yeah, completely agree. Yeah. On another consultation, the South Bank Corporation have just released a survey on the future draft master plan of the South Bank area in Brisbane, South Bank precinct. So they're seeking public feedback on that one as well. It's an online survey available to 14th of December. Kirsten, you may not be that interested being in Rockhampton, but you can still make a comment, and you can influence the shape of South Bank for everyone. So I've popped that one in the chat as well.
I love South Bank.
I don't know if it includes the South Bank of the river in Rocky as well. That'd probably be good if the South Bank of every river was counted in their master plan. The other one, and this is an important one too, the Queensland's obesity prevention strategy. So there's a draft strategy out at the minute, which is in relation to the national obesity strategy that was released in March this year. And Health and Wellbeing Queensland are leading this, the Queensland strategy. So we've already provided some feedback on behalf of the outdoor sectors. In the initial consultation process, went to a workshop, a couple of workshops, but we're also going to have a look at this draft strategy. But it'd be great to really strongly encourage others to get involved and ensure your point of view is actually included and understood by Health and Wellbeing Queensland. They've got an online survey. They're also doing some webinars, and meeting with community groups. I'll just pop that link to the website, and there's all the details are there. So it's actually a really good one to have a look at, that strategy. And they're looking at that right now. So yeah, it's worthwhile having a look at. And another, I don't know why there's so much Queensland government consultation happening at the moment. It seems to be, we've got to get this out and get it done before Christmas. But the Queensland Youth Strategy is another one that's out at the moment. It's only just dropped, I think it was this week they opened it up. And they really strongly are seeking feedback from people aged between 12 and 25. So if you fit that demographic, or you know people who do, I'd really strongly encourage you to let them know that this is out there. I think they are, they're promoting it fairly well. There is opportunities for some of us who are slightly beyond that 12 to 25 age group to have feedback as well. So they're not excluding those of us who are slightly more advanced in age, but they have a large section on actual feedback from young people between 12 and 25. And the strategy is all about, it's basically about young people, stakeholders, and government working together to ensure that Queensland's youth have the right support. And I think it's a really good opportunity as well. So I've just popped that one in there. I think, yeah, the consultation closes the 25th of November, so it's worth a look at that one as well. And I think I've almost reached the last of the consultation ones. The QTIC, the Queensland Tourism Industry Council, they've got a project. This is the second year that they've run it with the University of Queensland. It's about developing the Queensland Tourism Workforce Crisis Resilience and Recovery Plan, which is a catchy name. So they're conducting a follow-up to the survey they did last year, because quite a lot's changed in the tourism space. And they want to understand particularly about how the tourism industry accesses and uses crisis support resources. They'd really like tourism, hospitality and related sectors to complete their survey, particularly like they really want it from not just from organisations, but they'd like employees to complete the survey. It's quite a detailed survey. I'll just pop the link in there. It's a UQ survey, so it's a fairly convoluted link in here, but I'll pop it in here. And if you want to share it to anyone, please do. So yeah, I'll just pop that in the chat as well. So moving right along, good old COVID protocols and requirements. And the great news, there has been some changes in the last week or so, certainly in the last month. The Queensland website still says that, you know, with the new variants and waves of COVID-19 expected across Queensland, we should all be still doing what we can to reduce risk. And they, you know, they still say keep up to date with your vaccinations, wear masks to reduce risk, test for COVID if you've got symptoms, stay home when you're sick, keep your distance and good hand hygiene. And their key messaging seems to have changed to feeling sick, stay home and get tested. So, you know, it's pretty, I think they're boiling it down to that at the moment from the Queensland government point of view. But the interesting thing was just this week, the COVID-19 public health emergency officially ended in Queensland. So that was on the 31st of October, or I think it was midnight that night. So it's great to see that, you know, that's happened, it's ended, but they've now got a traffic light system, as you can see on the screen there, and that's about helping us to understand the current level of risk and take the appropriate precautions. So I was 6 p.m, was it, Andrew? So it was the 31st. Yep. Yeah, so this traffic light system, it's a tiered system. So we're currently in green, or the baseline level, and they describe it as standard preventative protocols. Yeah, it was it was Halloween, which was the night when the public health emergency ended. You'd think it'd start on Halloween, but anyway, I'm glad it's finished rather than the other way around. So we're in the green section at the moment. You can see, if you've, I'm not sure, it might be a little bit small, but I'll send a link to that as well, this traffic light system. It's pretty much all those protocols we just talked about. So there's, you know, take precautions, etc. But the important point is, once it moves up to the amber or tier 1, they're saying that's when there's moderate rates of community transmission, and we're either coming off a wave or maybe entering a new wave of COVID. And then there's additional protocols on top of the advice for green. And then if we get to red, and let's hope we don't get there anytime soon, that means there's high rates of community transmission, and we're either entering or we're in a COVID-19 wave. And they're saying then we should be following all the advice given for amber and green, plus wearing a mask indoors, even if you can socially distance. So that's the cumulative effect of this system. And I think it's important to be aware of that as we go along. So similarly, the Education Queensland, they set their rules for state schools for attending camps and going on excursions, but these are often adopted by other school systems. But their website's been updated in the last couple of weeks, the Queensland Government Education Queensland website. And all it really says now on the section on excursions and camps says that risk assessments must be done before you start the activities, and you have to take into account infection control measures if anyone develops symptoms of COVID-19 or other acute respiratory illness. And then it says careful consideration should be given to excursions or camps that involve extensive or complex travel arrangements. It doesn't say that those activities can't take place, but they just need careful consideration. So I think what they've got to is quite a reasonable approach on this stuff. And yeah, but they have updated it. So it is worth understanding what's on their website at the moment. I'll just share that updated version of their website as well. So yeah, not sure if there's any comments on that. Andrew, have you had a look at what they've posted?
No, I must confess I haven't.
Oh mate, come on. Yeah, so it really is, they've relaxed it quite a bit from what they had previously. So yeah, it's good to see. It seems like things are easing off, and hopefully it'll stay that way. Yeah, so that's probably the shortest COVID update I think we've done in any of these sessions, so I'm happy about that.
I think like the one thing to say from the, you know, the change at 6 p.m. Monday is that the CHO can't order border closures and also can't order business closures. So that, I mean, not that it looks like that was going to happen, but psychologically, I think it's probably as close as we'll get to a, well, that's over, hopefully.
Yeah, well, the declaration's over. It actually means they can't just extend it. If they're going to go again to that situation, I think it has to be pretty dire, and they'll probably have to put into place a whole new declaration. So yeah, so yeah, I think it's good to see. So I just had a few reminders there. The Inside the Outhaus, obviously, as Dave said, 4:13 p.m. Queensland time on Monday afternoon. We've got plenty of resources there on our website, also our e-bulletins and our social media. The Great Getaways Queensland, I didn't put a dot point there and I'll get in trouble. So the Outdoors for Life program as well, but also thanks to Kirsten and Dave from Carrick Queensland for speaking to us about the opportunity there for the reference group, and also Joe from Sport and Rec talking to us about the Active Industry Project Fund. I thought I'd get that one wrong, but I think I've got it right. There is plenty of information there. We will share an email for everyone who's registered. You'll get all the links. So yeah, really happy to have you join us today. And yeah, I hope you have a terrific month ahead. I did want to say our next session is the first Friday in December, so 2nd of December. And then the January session, we're actually going to do that a bit later in the month. We don't really want to run one on the first Friday in January. I don't think we'll get too many people turning up for that one. Some people will be in holiday mode and others will be flat out in peak tourism time. So it'll probably be Friday the 20th of January. We'll run that session in January, but December will be as per schedule. So yeah, that'll do us for now. Dave's just popped in there. What about a Christmas party session? Yeah, maybe that's the 2nd of December, mate. You can wear your Santa hat for that one if you like, or any other lovely Christmas decorations. I think we might talk about the impact of toil in the Victorian EPA in the next session, mate. I was just talking to Andrew from Outdoors Victoria this morning about that one. But yeah, I'll add that into the agenda for next time. And we'll finish off there now. There's a couple of minutes to go. And I'd just like to say, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and be kind to the planet. See you soon.